If you struggle with shyness or social anxiety, check out our free No BS training course with actual useful advice you can do from home. None of that just get out there nonsense. The link is in the description below. For now, let's get to today's question.
The question, when did you realize you have social anxiety? Answer by Jay Mahadane. Inability to reconnect with people from my past led me to believe that I was headed for full-blown social anxiety. I met my friends after quite a few years. Those people were my childhood friends, and then we didn't connect for about 7 or 8 years. They expected me to be the same goofy guy from their childhood who would never shut up, making stupid parodies of popular songs and all that stuff. Instead, what they saw was a guy who had almost nothing to add to the conversation, who was expert at making situations awkward with even the most trivial of conversations. I hated small talk. They hated 1000cc bikes. Needless to say, they saw someone who probably doesn't fit in with them anymore. They were super social. I wasn't anymore. So what happened in all those years? There were events that caused me to become more reserved and full of frustration because of my inability to handle those at the time. Sorry, back to the question, and here is your answer again. Inability to reconnect with people from my past led me to believe that I was headed for full-blown social anxiety. But no. It does not have to be that way. Every day I try to have interactions that push my comfort zone a little. It is a hit or miss kind of thing, and honestly, I enjoy when people cringe, but even more so when they genuinely smile. Edit. This answer will probably be lost among so many others better ones, but I felt a strange sense of relief after answering. I guess that is another magical effect that this platform has. Answer by Carl Rudvig. I suffered from social anxiety ever since I was a child. It got particularly difficult to manage in middle and high school. It was part of a generalized anxiety disorder. While I haven't eliminated my anxiety, I have reached a point where the anxiety is still there, but I just don't care about it as much. That happened with lots of therapy. Mindfulness-based hypnotherapy also helped me with sound sensitivity. I wrote an article below about hypnotherapy, and I have a link to the company I use to treat my sound sensitivity near the bottom of the article. Hypnotherapy, mindfulness, and anxiety. Contemplation Planet. Many people who have never suffered from social anxiety may have trouble understanding what it is like. We are not simply people who are antisocial. Rather, we tend to be very sensitive people. Sensitivity is not a weakness. It can be a great strength, and it can make one more in touch with the others and the environment. However, managing the emotional pain that sensitivity can cause helps. This involves tuning into the body and learning to relax our body despite the anxiety. Taking a few deep breaths usually helps, while observing our 5 senses. When anxiety comes, we can simply acknowledge it and let it pass. It is about reducing worry about worry, and replacing it with being mindful of other sensations and sights. Answer by Nicholas Grund. Social anxiety is the fear of social situations that involve interaction with other people. You could say social anxiety is the fear and anxiety of being negatively judged and evaluated by other people. It is a pervasive disorder and causes anxiety and fear in most all areas of a person's life. It is chronic because it does not go away on its own. From a non-profit organization that promotes understanding and treatment of social anxiety disorder, Full Guide, From Lonely to Social Life in 27 Days. Social anxiety is the fear of interaction with other people that brings on self-consciousness, feelings of being negatively judged and evaluated, and, as a result, leads to avoidance. Documentary on life with social anxiety. Detailed view on living with social anxiety. Good watch for those facing or those who know others facing issues of social anxiety. Age 14, 8th grade. We were assigned to do an impromptu speech for language arts. We wouldn't know the topic we were each given to talk about until it was that person's turn to speak. Upon being informed of this assignment, I freaked out so badly that I couldn't hardly eat for 2 weeks and had to be hospitalized. As much of a silly overreaction as it sounds, things have just never been the same for me since. I'm 24 now. It's like I never recovered and have some sort of almost PTSD like social anxiety now, all because of some stupid middle school assignment. I can pin it down to a specific year when I was 8 years old. And I remember I had this distinct self-diagnosis of it being a fear of other people that triggered it after I had a very public panic attack at school later the same year, even before I met a psychologist who in the end didn't catch it. I've even gone over it in my head so many times why it was that specific year that everything started. But I was 8 years old and it was so long ago. So I'm not sure if I always was this way or something triggered it. Nothing weird about that. I think of myself in the same way. I love people and I would love to be really social and outgoing, but my social anxiety leaves me exhausted every time I try to socialize. When I was 11, I moved to a new country, and I knew, to my 11-year-old self, a lot of dirty jokes. So going to school, I'd keep to myself a lot, but sometimes something would happen that would remind me of such a joke. It always had that feeling of everyone watching me, and I didn't know why they would be watching me, so my mind jumped to the most logical reason: they were reading my mind. So yay, I thought everyone was staring at me because what they read in my mind disgusted them. It took me a while to get over this paranoia, but the thinking people were judging everything I did stayed. Having a parent WHO stopped me from going to social things involving people from my school didn't help, so I didn't make any close friends at school, really the only social gathering I went to. So that's how I think my social anxiety started. I can't remember when I realized that this is what I had. I used to identify as antisocial for a long time, because that was the closest word I knew, even though I liked the idea of social activities. Just the anxiety I suffered before social events and stress made me avoid such things. I think I learned the term social anxiety from a meme. I'd coin that was.